Welcome. So today we're talking about reaping and sowing, cause and effect, electromagnetism. So I want to start off by saying welcome here today. If you're here today, what we talk about is spiritual truths. And as a hypnotherapist, I help you guys overcome subconscious trauma. So if you haven't already checked out the Mental Cleanse series that I have, it's a playlist I have. It is basically, if you were to come and join a group that I have, this would be like you attending group therapy. So there's 38 videos on there. It'll help you work through all kinds of emotions. So talking about reaping and sowing, this means, let me start off with a bold statement and tell you that there is no sin as it has been perceived. There's no sin. This is a earthly and human concept. There's no sin. And our divine loving creator does not even recognize good or bad, right or wrong. Doesn't recognize it. Because the loving creator set up our universe in such a way that there are very specific laws that are inescapable. And this was done in such a loving and wonderful way that you cannot get away with doing anything to anybody else and not have it come back to you. Cannot do it. The thing about it is, you also cannot get away with any kind of thinking, which leads to emotions and actions which will not also come back to you. Now, this can be a wonderful thing, because if you were putting good, positive, loving, wonderful thinking and emotions and actions out there, you're going to receive those back. But if you're doing the opposite, you are going to receive those back. This is the most wonderful, loving law of the universe, because it basically makes you abide by the rule, do unto others as you would have them do to you. But it also pertains to your thinking, how you're thinking. So first of all, if you were dealing with some karma in your life, if you were going through a difficult time, there's so much that goes into this. If you were under 30 years old, we come here in the first 30 years, we're dealing with our karma from previous incarnations. So you might say, well, this happened to me when I was 6 and I didn't, create that. Well, no, you're right. You came here. You had some karma to resolve. Keep in mind that nothing is good or bad, right or wrong, but it's our thinking that makes it so. But there's something you needed to accomplish. So I'll give you the example of my dad. So when I took my hypnotherapy training a million years ago, the woman who was training me took me back into this past life. Now, this past life that I was seeing at that time, this is not normal, by the way. This past life that I was seeing, like I'm up on a stake, they're about to kill me, and she just, ends my session just like that. Oh, we're out of time here today, come out of here. So anyways, I'm needless to say, traumatized. I'm carrying this, shaky energy in my body. I think I remember telling her this and her just kind of laughing about it and, oh, well, whatever. Anyways, luckily for me, I was staying at my best friend's house, who's a psychologist who has her hypnotherapy training and who was the one who actually told me that, I needed to do it. So she helped me through that. Now, here's the good part about this. Because that happened to me, how she ripped me out in the middle of the session, I don't ever do this to anyone. Don't do it to yourself. I don't ever do this to anyone ever. So there's no limit on how long a session might last. I've had people come and it ends up being 3 hours. It is what it is. Because we're going to resolve things before we're out. But here's the thing about that past life. It came up. She didn't do any work to resolve it. We did nothing. It was just like testing out the waters of here. Look, we visited a past life. Ooh, now we're done. So an example. Actually, it was regression therapy, so it wasn't even intentionally past life, but that was where it went to. So here's the deal. Sometimes when we're here on Earth, and I will regress someone back. So this means, let me go back. If someone comes to me and they have an issue, let's say that they're sad all the time, I'm going to bring up that feeling of being sad all the time in their session. going to have them feel it in their body, and we're going to follow it back. Now, most of the time, I'm going to throw out the number of 95% of the time with adults. You are going to regress back to something in this life. There will be a starting point here in this life when it happened, or it might be as early as being in the womb. Now, the other 5% of the time, we are going to go back and it will take you to a past life of something that happened there, and that it needed to be resolved. Now, here's the thing about this specific past life. It came up, I gotta say, probably 6 times. This does not happen. I have never, ever, in my experience, regressing people back, doing past life work, that type of thing, never had somebody go back to one more than once, but it's because something wasn't being resolved here. Something needed to be seen. So this woman, it introduced this life to me, which, got me curious of I wanted to explore it more. What's going on here? Why am I so traumatized by this? It must be significant. So we do, more work with my friend there that night. And then I go to my friend Gary, who's my astrologist. He's just a wonderful man. He had been at the point when I met him, so practicing for over 40 years. So he's probably at about 50 years here now. And he also does hypnosis work. So when I was sitting around having a meeting with him, all of a sudden the room changed, and it was as if we were sitting in the inside of a teepee. Nothing like this has ever happened to me before. The room visibly changed, and it's like we were sitting around in a teepee, and he was an older man, and he was teaching me. He was kind of the wise one, but I felt like maybe he was a grandpa of mine. It felt like we had an actual relation. Anyways, so he tells, or I tell him this, while we're in the middle of our, meeting here, and he goes, "Oh, well, I do hypnosis work. I think that we need to stop what we're doing and that we need to do that. I think that this is significant." And so it was okay, so let's do this hypnosis work because of this native thing that had come up, which was the same as this past life that I was seeing where I was this native man. Anyway, so he takes me back and we get into it. And I realize in that life what actually happened. It was extreme. It was traumatizing for myself and for the person who I then got revenge on because of what this person had done to me. So I don't want to speak about things that I don't want recreated. So I'm going to tell you that in this life, there was a man who had done something to my child in that life. And so I wanted revenge on him, and I got it, I would say, 6-fold on that man. And so we go to the end of the life. No, actually, we didn't go to the end of the life. This is where it gets interesting. So Gary, my astrologer, tells me, look in his eyes. Who is it? And I recognize this man as my own father in this life. This man who had done something to my child. Anyways, go to the end of the life, pass on, go up to the light, and I am met by this man. And we have a little meeting up there after we've passed, or I've passed, and we realize, this life was about forgiveness. It was about forgiveness, and kind of come to the realization of dang it, we got to do it all again now. We got to come back here and we got to do it again because we didn't, the forgiveness didn't happen. Flash forward to this life. What's going to happen? I'm going to now have to forgive this person, but in this life. So what does that mean? that this person needs to do something to me that would be difficult to forgive, right? He's not just going to shove by me when we're walking down the street someday and be like, oh, I got to forgive that guy. You know what I mean? It's got to be something extreme. So this is set up ahead of time. This is set up ahead of time. So if you were going through something in your life, and no matter what, if you've done subconscious work and you're going back and you're thinking, you know, like, I don't deserve this. Check out your past lives and see why this is happening. Because there's always, the earth is just a learning playground. That's why we're here. We're here to get back in touch with our divine creator and to learn and to grow our spirit in the process. So if you're going through something difficult, I want you to know you are not a victim. This is for you. This is for your benefit. It does not feel that way. I understand. I know. Trust me, when I've been going through the things that I have gone through in my life, did I feel like they were a blessing? Frick no. No, I wanted to kill myself. I wanted to end my life. But I only see now after the fact that they were the most wonderful divine blessing that could have been gifted to me. What a wonderful gift the previous suffering led to. It was necessary. It was needed. So you reap as you sow. So if you are not dealing with karmic, which you can go back to that mental cleanse series that I talked about earlier, there's a past life one on there. Go and check it out, and go and if you're having an issue and you think that this is karma from a past life, go in and set the intention when you're going to go do that video that you will see the life that you're supposed to see, so that you can understand, like, okay, I'm not a victim of this. And when you realize that you're not a victim of something, then you can forgive. Then you can get that out of your energy, because the victim mentality energy is heavy. It will deplete the energy stores that are meant to be there in your body, and you'll just feel like you're dragging your body through life, and nothing's going to change. You're going to feel like you're stuck, stagnant, dragging your body through life. If this is, you know, if your energy is depleted, and this has all come from your thinking. All of it has come from the way that you're thinking about what has happened or what is currently happening. So, reaping and sowing, electromagnetism. When you put something out through a thought, through an action, through a word, through an emotion, the law of electromagnetism is that it's returned back. It returns back to you. So electricity, whatever you put out, comes back in the exact same frequency that it was put out. So we see this in science. You know, this is a visible thing. Our thoughts, you know, and they tell us we're electric, because we are. We're made of light. They tell us that we're electric, right? And we are. So our thoughts that we put out are returned back to us in visible form. Okay, so I'm going to go deeper into this. I'm going to tell you here. So let's, just for a moment here, we're going to talk about telepathy. So have you ever been thinking about somebody and all of a sudden you got a text from them? Or you're thinking about somebody, all of a sudden you run into them? Or you're thinking about somebody, all of a sudden you get a phone call from this person, right? It's happened to you. Why has this happened? Because telepathy is real. And through electromagnetism, these electrical thoughts, they are sent out and they are received by others. Now, those who are very perceptive, very awake, very aware, very clear energy are very perceptive to these. They know if somebody meets you, if I meet somebody, I immediately know, you know, a lot about that person, because I can tune in to their energy and understand and know them. If you're not perceptive, you know, might think somebody's your friend, but really they're sending you jealous, low, negative vibes. And you wonder why you feel so insecure around that person. Or you wonder why, maybe you don't feel good after you've had an interaction with that person. It's because they're sending you energetic poison and your subconscious is receiving it. This is why, but here's the thing about it. If you do this to someone else and they're perceptive, they're also going to know that you are doing this to them. But here's the thing. The damage that is then done to this person's psyche by you will be returned back to you exactly as it was intended, exactly as it was sent out. It will be returned back. Just like if someone is doing this to you, it will be returned back to them. So there's no sinning, there's no punishment from some God on high. We deal with our sin while we're here on earth on this playground. And so if you haven't had time for your karma to play out and you happen to die, guess what? You're coming back. So I had a friend the other day. We were talking about psychedelics and whatnot, and he said that the most horrific thing happened to him when he, I don't know if it was DMT or what he was doing, but I think it was that. Anyway, he said that this was this terrible experience because he goes through it and then he had to go through his divorce from his wife's point of view, and he's just going on and on saying, what a terrible thing that was, never doing that drug again. And I thought, what a blessing that was. What a gift for you to deal with that karma in a split second. Sure, it sucked. Yeah, that sucks. But I hope that it woke you up and that you're going to treat people better here in the future. When you can deal with your karma in such a fast way like that, what a wonderful gift it is. Sure, it feels terrible. It felt terrible for the wife, didn't it? And when you get to experience that and see your role and how you're truly affecting other people, what a gift, because you can now choose, do I want to do that to someone else again? Do I want to feel that? How do I feel about the fact that I made somebody else feel this way? Remorse is what clears your soul. But if you have an experience like that and then you just take it away as, this negative thing, and I'm a victim and I can't believe this drug did this thing to me. What have you learned from it? Literally nothing. Nothing. Have you become a better person? No. So what's going to happen again? You're going to repeat the past because you didn't learn the lesson from it, right? Or you can see these things of, oh man, I experienced my, the divorce from my partner's point of view, and it really changed me. Like, wow, what a gift that was, right? Can you feel the difference between being a victim of the exact same circumstance, or learning from it? When you begin to grow, you'll change the people that you hang out with, because you're not going to be able to hang out with people that aren't going to grow either, right? Because you're going to see them in that victim mentality. You're going to want to help them, but you're going to know that you can't help them because you can't help nobody do anything for themselves. They have to choose these things for themselves, and all you can do is offer them the truth. And if they're not going to accept it, then you need to get yourself out of that energy and be around people that are also growing. Because just being in proximity to people who have low energy actually affects you. It affects the way that you think. It affects so many things on so many levels. So we can't escape this. What we think about, what we put out, we receive back. So let's say that you're sitting around, you're having an evening, and everybody's gossiping about somebody, and you're participating in this, and you're talking bad about somebody. Let's say there's some, I don't know, somebody who's struggling with something, because that's what people do, is they make fun of people who struggle with things. People who have something wrong with their, soul do this. So when somebody's making fun of somebody and you then decide that you're going to participate in this, well, what's going to happen to you is that at some point, that embarrassment or that low vibe, whatever it is that you put out towards that person or that you participated in, that same feeling, that same low vibe that you put out, that you participated in, that you gave to that person, is going to be returned to you. And then when it comes back to you, who knows how long it's been, you'll be like, oh, I'm a victim. These people did this horrible thing to me. When really, you started it. You started it. You did it first. So you can be free from this and not have to deal with any of that kind of BS in your life anymore, besides what you previously set forth in motion. You can clear this out of your life completely by shutting up, by changing your thoughts, by controlling your mind, and by going on the principle of do unto others as you would have them do to you. It's pretty simple, but it's also not as simple as this. So all the space that you see, when you look around and you see all of this space, what this empty space is, not even the empty space, all of the space that is visible, what it is tiny energetic particles vibrating at a certain frequency, which then appear as visible matter to you. Now, all the empty space is sitting there in equilibrium. It's just sitting there in perfect equilibrium, waiting for you to bring it to life through thought, through words, through actions, through belief. But it's sitting there in perfect equilibrium of perfect divine Father consciousness and perfect divine Mother consciousness. And it just sits and it just waits. It's just perfect. But when you imbue it with life, through your thoughts, through your words, through your actions, through your emotions, you then take away that perfect equilibrium, and you have now implanted your thoughts, your words, your actions, your emotions into that space and have now given it life. And it will come into fruition. So they talk about manifesting. This is what you've actually done, is you have used your thoughts, your words, your actions, your beliefs, and you have created in this space. And depending on your level of belief, it will manifest for you really fast if you have really strong belief, and quite slow. You might even forget about it by the time that it comes back to you if there's not a lot of belief that's attached to it. But either way, you've created something. This is why Jesus said over 365 times, one for every day of the year. Don't be afraid. 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 Be afraid not. Why? Be afraid not. Oh man, I got a good joke for you guys. So this string walks into a bar. And he walks up to the counter and he orders a drink, and the bartender says, "Hey man, we don't serve strings in this here bar." And so he goes, "Ooh, okay." So he walks away, and he ties a knot up in the top of his hair there, and he splays out the end of his hair, kind of poofs it out, pulls apart the end of the knot, and He goes back up to the bar and he orders a drink, and the bartender says, "Hey, I told you we don't serve strings here. Aren't you a string?" And he says, "I'm afraid not, sir." Anyways, so where was I going with this? Where was I going with this? We can't get away with these things. You know, we think that it's innocent. And intuitively, though, we know it's not, that we can do things or that we can say things that are low vibe, that are negative, and that it's not going to affect us in some way, that we're allowed to think we can do these things, we can do whatever we want, and that has nothing to do with any of these things. And it's not true. It's not true. You can't just think whatever you want to think. I mean, you can. We have been given free will to choose. But it causes damage when we allow ourselves to get involved with worrisome thoughts. Think about that. The feeling of worry, which I have experienced once in my life, and it was horrible. It made me want to throw up. It was horrible. It made me want to throw up. I'm telling you, it was one time that I physically experienced worry in my life. And it made me very understanding of the people who come to me, and that's an issue for them. Like, man, I don't know how you're doing it. I don't know how you're getting through your days. What a thing. This is one of the main things that I help people get over. And what a blessing it is to not have that worry. So here's the deal. When you're carrying that in your system, you are projecting it out. Your thoughts are electromagnetic. So you're sending that worry out and you are attracting back. It's coming back to you in the exact same frequency that you sent it out. Because the universe doesn't know that you don't want this. It doesn't know that you don't want this. It just responds to what you are. And so if you are walking around 90% of the time worrying about things, and you're just sending out worry 90% of the time, well, what is going to happen is the universe is like, oh, this baby over here just loves the worries. The word is going to give him more of it, because there's nothing good or bad or right or wrong, right? I mean, there is to us while we're here on earth, but not universally speaking. And so the universe just responds to what you are and goes, oh, they love worrying. Oh, okay, so we need to give them something to worry about. And then it just is like, here's 90% of the things to worry about. And the other 10% is good thinking, good thoughts, having good days. So then you get the 10% of the good days. And it perpetuates itself for years and years and years and years and years until you pattern identify and realize, oh, this is me. It's all my beliefs. It's all my thinking that is creating this world that I'm living in. You know, I'm friends with certain people, and they will tell me stories about their life, and I'm just so very observant of patterns, and all I'm hearing when I'm hearing these stories is patterns. That the people telling me these stories, they're always about the same vibe. So the stories are all very similar because they're all on the same frequency. It's not like all of a sudden they're calling me up and telling me, oh, this amazing and wonderful thing happened. No, it's usually like the news, right? There's an addiction to these low vibe states. But it is electromagnetism that is causing it, and you are the source that is sending out what it's sending out, and it is then returned back to you. This goes for everything in life. If you believe that finances are hard to come by, and you're having those thoughts, those struggles of, oh, how am I going to do this and all of these, and you're having all that stress there, the universe is like, oh, they love the stress. I'm going to give them what they are. And it gives you what you are. If you could only realize how powerful your beliefs are, you could change, you could choose better for yourself. You could change your entire life. You could change your entire life if you could understand just how powerful that your beliefs are, because they are literally dictating every single experience that you're having here on earth. When you strongly believe something with conviction, when you absolutely believe it, it will manifest instantly if you want it to manifest instantly. If you believe it, if you have the faith. Jesus said, he talked about having faith, and he wasn't saying, have faith in me that I'm about to get, strung up, and you got to believe in me and the blood and all the dark blood and bloody things. You got to believe in this. No, he didn't even, that wasn't even, not a thing. He said, have belief, have faith. And if you can have faith in the divine's love for you, which is really the only thing that exists, and it is only our minds that get in the way of that. If you could believe in that divine love, your life would completely change, because I'm telling you, you are meant to be financially abundant and blessed. You are meant to be living in perfect health. You are meant to be cared for, nurtured, protected. You are meant to have a feeling of safety in your life. Every good and wonderful, loving thing is meant for you, and it is only the mind that gets in the way of this. Just imagine how powerful it is when you can get out of your mind and you can give it over to the divine and choose to believe in the love of the divine more than you believe in evil. Because when you believe in evil, you are focusing on it, you are giving it its power. As I said before, there's no sin, there's only karma, there's electromagnetism, there's cause and effect, reaping and sowing. What you put out, you're going to get back to you. So if you could only realize how powerful your beliefs are, you would change them. You would change them, because it matters so much what you believe. Well, I got to go here, guys, because I hear that the lawn mowing guys have come here today, and I have a client in about 10 minutes, so I need to get off here and start uploading this. Sorry, it's probably very loud here all of a sudden. Anyways, love to you guys. Thank you for listening. I'm going to do another one on reaping and sowing, hopefully for you guys here tomorrow. Anyways, love to you all. Please like, share, subscribe. Share this with a friend that you feel like might need to hear it. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.